Alrighty, ladies and gents, Time Bomb back here with you, and today I'm looking at a very special album, special for me, and probably special to a lot of the old school hard rock hounds out there. This is the US debut album from ACDC, High Voltage, the original High Voltage. There was an Australian, I believe it was a, what was it known as? They had two releases. The first one was an Australian release. This one is the American release. This was the they did this one, and then there was TNT, and then I guess they must have re-released this one after TNT, after they did TNT. Yeah. The title tracks off of this album were obviously High Voltage rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. TNT. The original version of the Jack, which I prefer. I actually do prefer the newer version of the Jack, but hey, we all have our opinions. Yeah, this one, High Voltage, is best known with Bon Scott behind the reins, obviously. I've got close to the entire discography of ACDC. It's one of the few full discographies I almost have. I bought them off a guy I worked with a couple, last summer actually. And yeah, it's been one of my favorites so far. My only kick against any ACDC album is that the songs tend to get a little repetitive over and over again. Like I had when I bought the I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, so 10 albums, and I had them all burned onto my iPod, and I was listening to them one day at work, and they started getting a little repetitive after a while because the guitar riffs, the drum beats, the bass, the rhythm seemed to get a little repetitive, but that's obviously in the classic AC/DC style nonetheless. Yeah, but there's always been a long-running feud over Bon Scott versus Brian Johnson. I don't know which one I prefer, because Brian Johnson didn't come along until Back in Black, and that was their 7th album. So I don't know. It just depends on how you feel about it. Bon Scott was more of a little livelier, I think, than Brian Johnson was, but I think the band was in their prime years once Brian Johnson came along. Because Back in Black, which was the first album that Brian Johnson made with ACDC, was sort of a tribute to Bon Scott. So yeah, he's got. If you can easily tell that any seasoned AC/DC fan can tell the difference between Bon Scott and Brian Johnson. They're both two very, very distinct voices. And I think one of my favorite parts about this little CD thing here is the inside picture right there with Bon Scott. It always just makes me laugh looking at him. He's just like, oh shit, what did I do wrong? And actually, on the back of the album, it actually has some letters, and on the inside, I think there's actually, if I can find it, yeah, there's different letters from. There's one letter here from a show they played in June of '76, and there's this dude who I'm not sure if I'm sure he's speaking directly to AC/DC saying it, but he's just saying how much damage the band caused, or the people that showed up caused, because they got like so riled up and all that crap. So yeah, they said that there was damage to the upholstery and all that sort of crap, and it's actually quite funny. But yeah, it's pretty classic hard rock feel here nonetheless. And actually on the back of it actually shows, I was on their Wikipedia page, and it showed the album cover for the High Voltage album that was released in Australia, the original, the TNT album cover, and it was an alternate version of High Voltage, which is actually it, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you. But if you take a look at it, it's the one right there. And if you look at it, it looks like Bon Scott. Oh, sorry if I can get Bon Scott there, and what looks like to be Angus Young right there. I thought it looked pretty cool. And then if you look right there, you've got the God damn it, this is hard to do. You've got TNT right here, and you've got the Australian high voltage over there too. So that's pretty cool. A little piece of memorabilia for any hardcore ACDC fan. But if you are an ACDC fan and you do, well, of course you like them if you're an ACDC fan, definitely pick up high voltage. I don't know how many copies of these are in circulation anymore. I feel I was very lucky to actually get a hold of a version of this, because the guy I worked with was as big of an ACDC fan as I am now, and he enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, if you're a fan, definitely high voltage.